Okay, so when we talk about disease, disease means that it's a disorder or illness of the body that leads to poor health. Means that your body won't function as normal. Then means disease. Are you clear? Okay, so each disease is associated with a set of signs and symptoms. So based on signs and symptoms, then doctor will be able to actually tell you, oh, this is a disease. If you do not know that the diagnosis is not correct, then you don't be able to have the correct treatment. Are you clear? If let's say, for example, it's a heart problem, but misdiagnosed at the stomach. So we treat stomach, heart wouldn't get the treatment. So again, sign and symptom. Now we look at the first kind of disease called long-term degenerative. Long-term degenerative basically means a chronic disease. It means that organ failure, for example, kidney failure, heart failure, degenerative, cannot function. So this will take long period of time, most of the time. And this, for example, lung cancer, COPD, write down COPD actually is no longer in our syllabus, have been removed already. If you do a past year, you can see these two types of diseases, chronic bronchitis and emphysema. Both of them are no longer in your syllabus. So that's why I did touch anything on these two. Are you clear? Okay, yeah. So when you look at these chronic bronchitis and emphysema, they belong to this group called COPD. COPD stands for chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. Chronic means take long period of time, obstructive pulmonary disease. Okay, so these diseases are not caused by the pathogen. So therefore, they are non-infectious diseases. Okay. Another group is genetic disorder, hemophilia, sickle cell anemia. Those because of genetic problem. So again, we don't call them as an infectious disease. Another one is a deficiency disease, but for example, malnutrition. And another group is called mental disease. For example, Alzheimer. Okay, Alzheimer, psychotic. Okay, bipolar disorder. Some of you learn in psychology. Okay, right? And psychological issues. Okay, so those again, we don't get any pathogens. Okay. Now, if the disease caused by pathogen, then we call them infectious diseases. Infectious diseases also is known as communicable diseases. Are you clear? So in WHO we call it as communicable diseases. So when I say communicable diseases, means that those infectious diseases. And very important when we talk about infectious diseases, the idea here is they must be able to spread from infected person to uninfected individual. When you write down in the definitions, always include this. Are you clear? Diseases in this case, when talking about infectious diseases, it must be able to spread from infected person to uninfected. You cannot say just spread. Are you clear? Spread from who to who? It's from infected person to uninfected individual. Okay. So some infection disease also affect animal, can pass from animal to human. Okay, so few diseases actually we do know, like for example, like we talk bird flu, swine flu, okay, H1N1, H5N1, and currently the COVID. Okay, so those initially might come from the animal but spread to human. Okay. So duration of effects of infections, it depends. For example, some diseases, the effect may last by a few days until your body immune system develop the immune response. Then you can see that we managed to actually cope it, okay, and remove and cure. So it takes about 1 week, 2 weeks. So for example, chickenpox, 2 weeks. Okay, cough, fever, you have this kind of symptom. 2 weeks after that, you don't see any symptom anymore. Okay, some may be very, very long. For example, tuberculosis, 9 months to 1 year treatment. The effect. HIV, whole life. Can you see that? Are you clear? So mode of transmission is very important. So sometimes it's spread by direct contact. Direct contact basically means that through sneezing, okay, or through the exchange of the body fluids. Direct contact. Okay, but some other pathogens, they may be able to survive in water, food, feces, and sometimes involve animal. So this we call indirect. For example, cholera through the water. Okay, sanitization of water is not appropriate. Okay, not clean enough. Okay. Now, some people may spread a pathogen even though they do not have the disease themselves. When you say that you have the disease, basically you show the symptom. All right. So, but for us, those have already got the immunizations for the COVID, we may carry the virus. We do not know. We can spread the viruses. We don't know. So that's why it's very important. We have to follow the SOP. Keep on telling people, students, okay, don't, okay, particularly we very discourage you guys to actually eat together. Okay, study together like this, no problem, as long as 1 meter with mask on, proper mask. Okay, nowadays I'll be very skeptical about the mask. I mean, in the market, please do get some good masks. Are you clear? Okay, possible 2-layer. Okay. So that's why I say that you need to know that these are carrier because they carry the virus, but they don't show any symptom. Okay. So the way in which pathogen pass from one host to another is transmission cycle, and the only way to stop the infectious disease by means of breaking transmission cycle. If we do not know how the viruses or the pathogen transmit, for example, transmission is by air, then we know wear mask. Can you see that? If a transmission is through the waterborne, contaminated food, then personal hygiene. So you need to know, for example, certain diseases involve the vector, dengue, involve the mosquitoes. So avoid being bitten by mosquito using insect repellent. So we have to know the transmission cycle. Then only there's only way we can stop, okay, and control the transmission. Okay. So most of the major, we have many ways, okay, to control the infectious diseases. Vaccination is one of them. Okay, so we want to reach what we call the herd immunity, very definitely. Now when we talk about herd immunity, 95%, 95% and above. Okay. Now we have 3 terms here: endemics, epidemics, and pandemics. So I think that's the word epidemics, pandemics. You guys are quite familiar with. When we use the word epidemic means that the starting point of the sudden increased number of people with the particular disease. For example, okay, like 2 years ago, 2019, end of 2019, suddenly we have this COVID in China. That's right, COVID in China. Okay, it started with a huge high number. So this is called epidemic, a sudden start. Okay, sudden increase. So this term is called epidemic. So if we don't contain them nicely, okay, because sometimes we do not know, particularly nowadays, it's so easy. Okay, not now, but before the COVID, today, morning I can in Malaysia, afternoon I can be in China, and nighttime I may fly to Dubai. Can you see that? So with this, what we call the infrastructure that we have, we can travel the whole world. Definitely, we can spread the disease not only localized but throughout the whole world. So when the disease spread to whole world or across continents, then it's termed as pandemic now. It's not 1 or 2 countries, but the whole world. Not necessarily the whole world, but widespread to many countries. It may not be in the Asia only. It can spread to Europe, US, and so on. Are you clear? So then we say that the disease now is a pandemic now. Are you clear? Pandemic. Now, certain disease, you can see that they have the peak, and then we try to do whatever way that we can, and we bring them down, the disease. But no matter how you bring them down, a particular country or particular world, because of the mutation or particularly because of certain climates and particularly some factors, the disease seems like you cannot get rid of particular disease. And the whole world, we can't see this disease anymore, but this disease only special for the particular country or particular region of the country, then this disease is called endemic. Means that other country won't have this disease, only this particular country or particular world. Are you clear? Okay. It may be due to the socioeconomic status, it may be due to a lot of factors. One example, malaria is endemic in the tropical and subtropical regions. The reason here is because malaria is spread by a vector called mosquitoes. Okay, you wouldn't get mosquito lots in, I mean, it's a subtropical or even at this European country, you wouldn't get it. But at a tropical country, yes, you're a lot of mosquito, right? So this is contributing the reason why the malaria only is endemic, it's not pandemic. Okay. So we have 6 types of diseases that we are going to focus in our syllabus. So they are smallpox, measles, cholera, malaria, HIV/AIDS. But to understand, guys, HIV it's not a disease. HIV is a virus. So when you tell people, don't say HIV virus because the V stands for virus already. Are you clear? It's a human's immunodeficiency virus. So you don't tell HIV virus, just HIV. But don't tell people HIV virus, so no one will know what is HIV virus. Are you clear? But HIV people know. But HIV virus, what is HIV virus? What are you thinking about? Okay. So AIDS is a disease when HIV become active in the patient. It will cause the weakens the immune system. So that's why we have this AIDS stand for acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. Okay? AIDS stand for acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. Okay, and then the last one, tuberculosis. Okay, so this is very important. Okay, so in our syllabus, you are required to know who caused the disease. For example, smallpox. Smallpox actually caused by Varroa virus. So Varroa virus have 2 kinds or 2 subkinds. So we have this Varroa major and Varroa minor. Okay. So the type of organism, if the agent is Varroa virus already, and you still tell me there is bacterial, I'm going to kill you. Okay, this would be common sense, right? Okay, so the type of the correct organism is called virus. Now, create a problem because in the first chapter we thought virus is non-living, but why call organism here? Okay, just take it. Okay, in this case, virus because it causes the disease, so we claim that there's a living in this case. Are you clear? But generally, virus is non-living. Are you clear? It's not organism. But in the type, we still claim that it's the virus. Measles caused by morbillivirus. Type of organism is virus. Malaria. Malaria actually caused by this plasmodium. So we have 4 different types or species of plasmodium. We have Falciparum, vivax, ovale, and malariae. But what's required by syllabus? Only the genus. As long as you know plasmodium, good enough. Are you clear? As long as you know plasmodium, good enough. You want to show off, then put in another. Okay, Falciparum. Now, out of these 4, the most dangerous kind or type is Falciparum. Okay, Plasmodium falciparum is the one that causes severe kinds of malaria. Are you clear? Okay, at least you know one now. Okay, if you can't remember, at least remember the genus name Plasmodium. They are protoctis. Now, the bracket, protoctis actually they are eukaryotic cells. Okay, protoctis is eukaryotic. Now, if you look at all living organisms, we divide them into 3 domains. Okay, now it's been 3 domains, means that a big group. So under these 3 domains, okay, we have one domain called eukarya. Eukarya basically means that the organism belong to this group must have nucleus itself. So under this group called eukaryotic cell, eukarya. So under eukarya, we have 4 kingdoms. Okay, you can see that the ranking, the highest ranking domain. So domain is called eukarya. So under this domain, we have 4 kingdoms. So these 4 kingdoms, they are Animalia, animal, Plantae, plant, fungi or fungus, and anything that with nucleus but do not belong to this group. If they do not belong to these 3 groups, we dump them into this dustbin called Protoctista. Okay, so the organism belong to this group called Protoctis. They are eukaryotic cells. Right now, my Protoctis, they are eukaryotic cells. So in fact, they are single or unicellular, single cells organism or unicellular. Okay. Now, next, cholera. caused by Vibrio cholerae, it's a bacterium. HIV, okay, by human immunodeficiency virus, or HIV is a virus. Tuberculosis, we have two types. We have Mycobacterium tuberculosis and Mycobacterium bovis. I made a mistake here. I forgot to italite it. So you can see that why I italite it. I italite it because these are the species name. So italite it. When you type it out, when you write it, put underline. Okay, don't purposely italite it when you write. Okay, for example, if I write for Plasmodium, for example. Sorry. Oops. Okay, so if I write Plasmodium, okay, Vax. So underline Plasmodium, Vax. And P must be capital letter. Okay, as a biologist, you should know this. Okay, in A2, we will learn again. Okay, so this is my mistake. If you write it, please under virus name, no need. This is a description. It's not the name of the virus. The virus is called retrovirus. Okay, you can take a photo if you need. Okay, done. Now, smallpox, why we study them? Smallpox, we study them because they are, okay, they are one of the diseases that we managed to eradicate it. Now, when you use the word eradicate, means that in this world, no more smallpox. No one will get smallpox anymore. If we say that eradicate COVID, it means that no one get COVID anymore. Are you clear? Okay, so this idea. So it means that do you need to vaccinate against the vaccinated against the smallpox? Answer, no need. Are you clear? Because the whole world, no one got already. It won't spread. Are you clear? If no one had the virus, how it spread? It can't spread unless, okay, leakage from the lab, then different story. Okay? Due to vaccination, measles is a disease it's very rare in a developed country, but developing country, yes. But even though we say that, how come developed country, for example, UK, European country, US, those countries actually are quite advanced and they are developed country. Why measles actually outbreak of the measles or the spike in the measles cases? Okay, this is due to the so-called herd immunity is not achieved below the threshold. Due to a few reasons. So therefore, we're going to compare between the measles and also the smallpox. Why smallpox so successful? We can eradicate it, but measles we won't be able to do this. Okay. So one of the idea here is when look at this type of country, European country, US, they are very, very particular in terms of the human rights. I say that. Okay. You have no right to force me to get vaccination. Okay, so it depends on the view whether they want to do the vaccinations or not. So therefore, you can see that when the vaccination rate lower than the threshold value, definitely there is an outbreak of the disease, particularly measles. Okay. So sometimes we had a debate in this case when we talk about the human right. Okay, in terms of medical fields, should we give the medical? I mean, in terms of should we give the human right in this case? And particularly when we talk about what? Vaccination. Okay? Particularly when we talk about these euthanizations. You know what's euthanizations? Basically, you have your own rights to kill yourself. Not in Malaysia. Like one day, actually, you are paralyzed already, you can't walk. Right. Okay. So should I actually say kill my own life? That means that with the proper way, it's not commit suicide, but be authorized. Right? So these are the debates, okay? Because different country, different regions of the world, we have a different thinking, and it's quite difficult to actually standardize it whole world. Okay. Now cholera. Okay, cholera actually basically is a measurement indicator inequity and lack of the social development. Because in all those developed countries, definitely we don't have cholera. Very, very, very rare cholera happen. But cholera always take place in those countries that always face this what we call the natural disaster or war. Why? Because cholera spread through the food and also the water. As long as water cannot be sanitized, No clean water supply, cholera outbreak always there. Are you clear? Okay, so you can see that in 2010, when Haiti, I think it's 2009 or 2010, I can't recall. Okay, because of the earthquake. Okay, because of earthquakes, then in this you can see here about 7,000 people. Okay, a few 100,000 more spreading the neighbor country. Okay, regarding to this cholera. Okay, and you can see that in 2017, an outbreak of cholera in Yemen due to the war. So therefore, you can see that when the war takes place, naturally disaster takes place because they destroy those factory or those plants, okay, that provides the clean water supply. So we look at the cholera. Malaria, again, is a tropical infectious disease. And most of the time we consider them as the orphan disease. So orphan that no one care about it. This orphan disease. Now, why no one care? If you look at those drug company, vaccine company, Pfizer, okay, Merck, those big shops in pharmaceutical, they're not going to spend money doing research on malaria. Why? Because they are located in European country, US. They are not affected by malaria. Can you see that? So they are focused more to their own disease. Are you clear? Flu. Okay, those are special in their country. Are you clear? Okay, so that's why until nowadays you can see that in terms of the malaria, because of the global warming, the mosquitoes started to actually adapt to their climate. So now you can see some malaria cases in European countries, yes, dengue. Now they start to do more research onto this. Right? But malaria, again, because it's caused by the plasmodium, so it's quite difficult to handle eukaryotic cell. Okay, so we're going to look at it in detail, how we're going to handle this malaria. HIV infections continue to be the major global public health issues. And a lot of time HIV patients, okay, when they develop AIDS, because the immune system is so weak, the normal flu virus, the normal bacteria may kill them. Because the T helper cells have been destroyed by HIV. So it means that when T helper cells gone, they cannot coordinate the immune response. No cytokine. Where got the activation of B cells? No. Activation of T cells? No. Okay. Then so you can see tuberculosis. Tuberculosis actually, BCG. Okay, BCG vaccine. Measles MMR. How about this MMR? Mumps, measles, rubella. Have you gotten this vaccination? When girls get these vaccinations, that means the nurses will ask you, are you pregnant or not? Because of rubella, the vaccination actually will cause, no, didn't take. I think some of you may have heard about this. When you get this MMR vaccine, it's triple vaccine, basically for measles, mumps, and rubella. So they can ask you, okay? Then definitely they don't ask the kid, if you get this vaccine when you're 7 years old, 8 years old, are you pregnant? You cannot be, okay? But when you're in high school, okay, you get this MMR, then they will ask, okay, whether you're pregnant or not, because rubella, it will cross, okay, the placenta and give a problem to the fetus, okay? This is for measles. Measles is MMR, okay? And then for tuberculosis, it's BCG. Have you heard about this, BCG? Okay, BCG vaccine. So BCG is for tuberculosis. And this tuberculosis actually is preventable, actually. Okay, but the problem here is tuberculosis always follow HIV infection. If you put the heat map of both of them, you can see that actually tuberculosis is opportunistic diseases. So it means that most of the HIV patients, they will first develop tuberculosis first because their body immune system is weakened. Okay, so tuberculosis is more frightening in this case, it's more worrying in this case because they develop multi-drug resistant. The main problem of tuberculosis, the bacterial, Mycobacterium tuberculosis, this bacterial, they are slow-growing bacteria. So the whole course of the treatment takes about 9 months to 1 year, or even some up to 1.5 years to get rid of this bacteria from our body. But the thing here is a lot of patients, they don't have the patience to continue. So halfway through, like for example, 6 months, oh, it seems I'm okay already, then they stop. But some bacteria, they are weakened only, but they don't die. They're not killed yet. So they slowly will develop there. This is what we call that drug-resistant strain. So it means that when it come out again and cause the disease again, those antibiotics that we used previously cannot be used anymore. Okay, so this trend is very, very concerned nowadays when we talk about multiple drug-resistant TB MDR. Okay. So I've done for the summary, basically means the general idea for the diseases. Okay, these 6 type of diseases. Now we're going to the first one, smallpox. Okay,